This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of the Greater Chattanooga region. My name's Scott Howell, of course, as the announcer already told you, and I'm your host for today. You know, a lot of people ask me, what is the purpose of the Good Neighbor Podcast? Well, we desire to bring an awareness to the residents living in our communities regarding locally owned and or operated businesses in their neighborhoods. You know, a lot of people have forgotten in this day of big, corporate giants that our neighborhoods and our communities were built on the backs of small and medium-sized locally owned businesses. And they still need our support today. Matter of fact, every local business has a story to tell. And we just want to help them on the Good Neighbor Podcast to be able to shout it loud and proud so everyone can know about them and know they're out there for them. All right. So today we have one of our neighbors with us. Her name is Amy Lokken at R3 Chattanooga. How you doing today, Amy?
I'm doing good, Scott. Thanks so much for having me on. I love your mission of sharing the local businesses here in our community, because we have a lot of amazing businesses and, to your point, a lot of amazing stories. So I love that you do that.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate those kudos. We always appreciate a shout out here at the Good Neighbor Podcast. That's what we love to do is to support local businesses and do all we can for one another to help one another out. So before we dive into talking about R3 Chattanooga, I've been looking so forward to this interview. Before we dive in, would you like to share anything with us about your personal self or anything about your family?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've lived here in the Chattanooga community for about 15 years. My husband actually grew up here in the area and is what brought us here.
Yeah.
And we have an 11-year-old son who loves everything history. So we get to go on lots of adventures, and I get to learn, or in some cases relearn, a lot of historical facts. And we live in such a tremendous area with a lot of history and things to learn. So it's been tremendous of being able to go and do that with my son and my husband, and just spend a lot of quality time doing that.
Yeah, there are a lot of I guess a lot of people think of Chattanooga as Civil War history, and there's definitely a lot of it, but there's also a lot of Native American history in this area too. So you're right. In the greater Chattanooga region and even a little beyond, there's a lot of things to see and do regarding that. Wonderful place to live. So let's dive in, Amy, and talk about R3. What is it that y'all do? Talk about your journey of how you became to be part of this, and just share with us all the health benefits as well.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely has been a journey. So we actually opened in February of 2017. At that time, we opened under the name of Glossier Cryotherapy. We were a franchise of a brother and sister who had pitched their idea on Shark Tank for opening up these franchise cryotherapy businesses.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I was like, I have no idea what that means. So I started researching it and went and did my first whole body cryotherapy session and was instantly hooked into the benefits of it. So the primary benefits of the whole body cryotherapy is reduction of inflammation throughout the body.
Okay.
And so, that could be inflammation from, athletic recovery type inflammation. It could be chronic pain. It could be, we see a lot of people with autoimmune issues where the body is creating a lot of inflammation. And so just as I went and did it the first time myself and had an immediate improvement in some pain that I had in my IT band, I was like, okay, this is amazing. I need this. Other people need this. How do we bring this to Chattanooga? And
yes.
So we, like I say, opened as a franchise of Glossier Cryotherapy in February 2017. And on the whole cryotherapy type of business, we were probably a little early on it because people weren't as familiar with it as they are today.
Okay.
today. You've seen athletes do it on the TV. You see the Real Housewives doing it on TV. You probably know someone who's done it. In 2017, it was a lot more of explaining the benefits and bringing the education to people about why they might want to get into the cryo chamber and expose themselves to negative 130-degree temperatures for a maximum of 3 minutes. And so being able to, have the opportunity to educate people on the why you might want to do that, and to be able to see the success stories of people feeling better after they've, done a session. That is what, really brings me great joy in the job and the business that I have, because every day I get to play some small part in somebody having a better day. And that is not something that I take lightly, the opportunity to have, that experience with people on a daily basis.
Sure. Yeah. And that was a great explanation. Can you talk to us about some of the benefits, health benefits, or what other type of benefits there are?
Yeah. So the primary benefit of the whole body cryotherapy is the reduction of inflammation.
Okay.
A lot of times too, people will get a mood boost or energy boost after doing a session.
Okay.
And that is because you get an endorphin release after it because of the way that your body reacts to those ultra low temperatures. And, I think that's one of the, kind of biggest opportunities that we frequently have is, talking with someone about it, and kind of their first response is, oh, I could never do that. And the reality is most people can do it. And once they recognize that it really, if I could figure out a way to make this a marketing term or marketing slogan, I probably would. But a lot of times people will go, oh, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it really isn't. But it's hard to wrap your head around what that might feel like. To hear someone say, negative 130 degrees, like you can't even process what that might feel like.
No, I lived in Chicago, the Chicago area, for a couple of years back in, well, I'm not going to date myself, a long time ago. I lived there, and the last winter I was there was 2 days that broke records. The wind chill was 60 below zero. I never felt that kind of cold all my life. I grew up in rural Alabama, and suddenly here I am transplanted to this place. Never felt that. So I guess I know what you're saying in relation. Your brain just can't process it. But tell me one thing. You see a lot of people nowadays. They're saying it's healthy and beneficial to jump into a tub of ice water and just suddenly bring your temperature down. So how does what the cryotherapy do compared to something like that seems to be such a kind of a fad right now?
Yeah, the ice plunging is definitely having its moment right now, and there are definitely benefits to ice plunging, but not really comparable, if you will, to the whole body cryotherapy because the temperatures that you're exposed to in the whole body cryotherapy are so much colder and for a much shorter period of time.
Yes.
Where when you're doing, the ice bath, people will stay in, 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes, which I applaud those folks that can do that, because that is not something I can do. I tried the cold shower thing. It just cannot do it. So, there are definitely benefits to that. And I think a lot of it comes down to what someone gets used to. If they're used to doing that ice bath and they're getting benefit from it, then, by all means, do that. What most folks who ice bath, who do come in and do the cryotherapy, it's a much quicker process. It's dry. You're not running to the store and buying, 5 bags of ice every day. And as soon as you come out from a cryotherapy session, your body warms back up. That blood rushes back out immediately to warm you back up. where after an ice bath, a lot of times it does take longer for the person to get warmed up because of the, damp, cold exposure that they've had.
Well, one of the things I was kind of expecting that the cryotherapy, I haven't had my first session yet. I'm on my way, but I haven't had it yet.
Come on, we're ready for you.
But I assume it's probably a gradual cool down, right? You step in the chamber and your body temperature gradually comes down. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when you first get in for a session, it's going to be about negative 40 degrees in there, and then it will cool down from there. And like I say, it can be as short as 1.5 minutes is when you start getting benefit, and 3 minutes is the maximum amount of time that you're in there. And so I think, one thing that I would say for a lot of people is they would say that the 3 minutes that they're doing the session may not be their favorite 3 minutes of their day, but it is worth being a little uncomfortable for 3 minutes for how good they feel afterward.
Well, if you said it helps with inflammation. And when I'm talking about the gradual come down, I sure am not meaning anything negative. I was just wondering how it compares, because you see somebody just plunge into ice, and I'm thinking, well, what if somebody had a heart problem and they just plunge themselves down that ice? How might that affect them? But what you're saying is you're not just plunging into 120 negative degrees. Your body's going to slowly come down to that point. And you talk about it helping with inflammation, right? One of the most, I guess, probably most popular things that we hear, not popular, but one of the most common things that we hear about inflammation is arthritis. So do you find people that have arthritis are finding relief, long-term relief after they've had a cryotherapy session?
Yeah, absolutely. It was originally designed as a treatment for rheumatoid arthritis in the 70s. So the technology and the process has, been around for quite some time.
Okay.
It has just, really started gaining popularity, over the last 10-ish years or so.
Yeah.
So it definitely, is something that can help with, like rheumatoid arthritis, but even just in general, a lot of times people have a lot of inflammation in their bodies, and that's, from the everything that we do to the foods that we eat to the activities that we do. So it's not, just someone who's, trying to do athletic recovery or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we also we have localized cryotherapy. So if someone, has a particular area that's sore, we can do a localized cryo on that, which is just a stream of cold air. And sometimes, sometimes people don't want to try the whole body cryotherapy. So they might be interested in doing something like that localized cryo, which is, like I say, it's a more targeted or spot type of treatment.
I'm a cold-natured person. I didn't used to be this way, but I am now. I'm cold-natured. So in the wintertime, I'm having to dress warmer than I used to. But I could see 3 minutes as being definitely something that is bearable. I mean, 3 minutes. I stay cold sometimes. I get cold. I'm a cold all day long, So 3 minutes and my body temperature warms back up, and there's health benefits, and there's something there that may help, especially maybe if I have that problem with inflammation. I've heard of doctors talking about how inflammation can cause other problems in your body that you're not even aware of. The inflammation is the cause of it. So, being able to find relief and help, and I think 3 minutes is just a short sacrifice and in a controlled environment, where you're there helping and watching it, not just me. And again, I'm not trying to talk negative to anybody who enjoys that, but not just jumping into a tub of ice water and jumping back out in a few minutes and not somebody not knowing what's going on while this is happening. I think it sounds really safe, like a safe thing to me, Amy, for what you do.
Yeah, it really is. And the nice thing is that, when you're in there, I tell people it's not like a roller coaster ride. Like once you start, you can't stop. At any point when somebody is doing a session, the operator is right there with them. And if they're like, hey, I'm ready to stop, we push stop and the person comes on out. So it's, very much within the control of the person,
yes.
How their session goes.
I think it sounds fantastic. But tell me one thing. What are some of the myths and misconceptions that people have, if there's any besides what we've already talked about?
Yeah, I think what we've talked about is probably the main one.
Okay.
That people, just think that that's not something I could do because you can't really wrap your head around, what
Okay.
that temperature might feel like and
Yeah.
everything. And we have ways, that we can kind of help a person, like pausing the because the air is kind of blowing on you, kind of pausing those blowers for a few seconds to give a person a little bit more opportunity to just kind of settle into the session a little bit. So there are definitely ways that we are able to help someone to get through a session so they can have that first kind of understanding of what a session experience is like.
Amy, you said you've been doing this since 17, right? Or
Yeah,
16 or 17?
17.
Okay. So 7 years now this year. And in that 7 years, I know you probably don't want to mention any names. I'm not trying to get personal, but is there a particular success story that just kind of stands out to you when somebody came and started doing this and how they've experienced it successfully?
Yeah, I mean, there's at least two folks that I can think of, well, three even, who have really been with us since the very beginning. One of those is a gal who she has fibromyalgia, and so her fibromyalgia medicine would make her very dizzy. So she would have to get up in the morning, be in pain, go do whatever she needed to do, because once she took her medication, she did not feel comfortable to drive because she was dizzy.
Oh,
And
wow.
so she comes, we see her at least probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh, wow.
And she has been able to, utilizing the cryotherapy in conjunction with a chiropractic and massage therapy, she's gotten completely off of her medications and no longer needs to take them.
Wow.
And so, she definitely is a big champion and proponent for us. We have a gal who's got chronic back pain. And again, typically we'll see her 3 times a week, and she's been able to, decrease the frequency with some of her chiropractic care, because her chiropractor can tell when she's consistent in coming here, because the adjustments that he'll do to her tend to stay more in adjustment, because she's working at keeping the inflammation down. So there's lots of different stories like that.
Yeah,
But
I love hearing
I
success
especially
stories.
love the ones that have been here with us, for the entire time.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because that's what matters. We talk about cryotherapy, and somebody could be like you were, when you first heard about it. What in the world is that? And then you tell them, and you like those negative things pop in your head, but all of a sudden you hear, hey, this person, it worked for them, and this person, it helped them, and this person. So it sounds like you collaborate a lot with other physicians in the field, chiropractors, or I say physicians. Not all of them are physicians, but chiropractors, massage therapy. Sound like you collaborate with a lot of those folks too.
Yeah, because we are definitely a good complement to physical therapy, massage therapy, chiropractic. We're not a replacement. We don't do anything that those people do, but we are a great complement
Yeah,
to the great work that those folks do in helping. Again, really focusing on that inflammation component of it.
I've met so many great chiropractors and massage therapists since we started doing the podcast. I mean, just some fabulous people. I've enjoyed them so much, meeting them, and enjoyed meeting you today too. If there was one thing, Amy, that you wish that people knew about the heart of Amy Lokken and R3 Chattanooga, and they probably wouldn't know unless you told them, unless you shared it with them, and you'd like to just say it loud and proud here today on the Good Neighbor podcast, what would that be?
I think that the biggest thing is just the satisfaction and the joy that I get in being able to help people and being able to be a part of making their day a little bit better. That is, absolutely what drives me on a day-to-day basis of, continuing to grow and build on this business. I mean, I think it's just the great gift that I receive in being able to work with people and helping to make their day be a little bit better through the services that we offer. That is, something that I don't take lightly, and something that helps to, drive me every day to continue to want to serve our community and the people that are in it. That is just something that I think is just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity that I've been given through this business.
You probably got to meet a lot of really good people that otherwise you wouldn't have too, right?
Absolutely. And people that are not just clients, they're my friends. We text, stay in contact and do all those things well beyond just, come in and do your service. But, how's the family? How's the kids? How's the vacation? All of those things that we're able to learn from folks in, 3-minute snippets of their day. But it's amazing when you can have a 3-minute, very focused conversation, the things that you can learn and share with others.
Absolutely. Well, Amy, I want you to take a moment and tell us how we can either find out more or contact you or anything online or offline, okay?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to our website. So it's the letter R and the number 3, Chattanooga.com. There's a contact us on there if someone has any questions. You can schedule services on there, and you can read and learn more about all of the different services that we offer.
Okay. And just in case someone does not have access to internet, or they were out riding around and heard this, is there a phone number that you give out for people to call?
Yes, our main desk phone number is 423-805-2796. When we got that phone number back in 2017, we thought we were being witty by having the last 4 digits of the phone number spelling out cryo. But now that nobody really uses, phones that have the letters on them anymore, dating myself there a little bit, it's a little less impactful. But it is 423-805-cryo, if that makes sense. Yeah,
I remember the days when we paid extra money to have those type of numbers where it spelled something out. So, I know what you're talking about. Well, Amy, it was a pleasure meeting you and learning more about R3 and what y'all do. And I think it's fabulous. And I can't wait to try my first session of I don't have a lot of arthritic pain, but there's other things that go on inside of my body, as I get older, that I've experienced. And I would love to find out that I could get some relief from it, from the inflammation through the cryotherapy. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
All right. Well, come see us. We can do a mini podcast while you're in the cryo machine, maybe.
That sounds good enough. My teeth start chattering real loud. You might have to take over, though, Amy. You might have to do all the talking. All right. Well, Amy, you have a wonderful day, and thanks again for being with us, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And all the good neighbors of the greater Chattanooga region, after meeting Amy and learning more about R3 Chattanooga, I know that she hopes that you'll take a moment to consider all that she has to offer and all that cryotherapy has to offer you. If you're suffering from some form of inflammation, especially if you suffer from maybe, she talked about people have mood bursts. If you struggle with that, hey, give it a try. You might be surprised. You might think, well, I don't know, I'm kind of skeptical. One way to handle skepticism is just try it out. And if it benefits you, wonderful. You found something that's beneficial to your life and might just change your life in a lot of ways. So just give her a call, get on her website, and just see if it might benefit you. And before ending this episode, I'd like to thank you all, of course, the listeners, for taking time out of your busy day and spending it with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. Always remember to support the locally owned and operated businesses in the greater Chattanooga region. Again, my name is Scott Howell. I'm with the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.